I love the hustle, man.
BTB Squad. I have a great addition to the interview series that we have on the channel. So, I had to put on my new suit. You know what I mean? I had to go to Brooks Brothers and everything just for the occasion. All right. So, here we have, without further ado, the founder of Technologies of Color. If you guys don't know, I've been shouting out Technologies of Color since the beginning, right? If you go back to my first videos, the second video I put up on my channel was my experience going to Coding While Black, which is an event by Technologies of Color. So without further ado, let's go ahead and turn it over to Marcellus Haynes. Marcellus Haynes, how are you doing today?
Good, man. Beautiful Sunday, beautiful cold Sunday, but beautiful nonetheless. But doing great, man. How about you?
I'm doing awesome. I am glad to be speaking with you. But yes,
Glad to be here. Glad to be here.
right. So with that, man, I had like I was saying in the intro, I have been shouting out Technologies of Color since the beginning of my channel. I've been going to you guys for over 2 years now. I'm about to be three. So
Wow. So
yes,
pre-pandemic, huh? That's right. I guess it had to be.
yeah, because
Um,
2019 I heard about you guys, and then 2020 I actually came to the first meetup for Coding While Black that I've been to.
okay. So did you come to the in-person one before the pandemic? Were
Yes,
you at an in-person event? Okay.
that
Okay,
was it.
cool.
I think it was either December or January, December of 2019 or January of 2020.
20. Right, right. Where was it? Do you remember?
It was at the RCIE
Okay.
building, so
Okay.
over there by Morehouse.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yep. So the same one we went to the other day,
Right,
right?
right. Yeah, yeah. Well, thanks for the love, man. I appreciate it. Definitely appreciate you spreading the word, man. It's all about community. And, like we talked earlier about, just blacks in tech, man, and whatever we can do to uplift our community and, get to the bag.
Yes, sir. Right. But I want to go ahead and start up and ask you a few questions. So tell me a little bit more about Technologies of Color.
Yeah, so I'll give you. I know we got some time, and maybe I'll give you the slightly abridged version of the long story. But yeah, I've been in tech for 20 plus years, and I was working as a contractor, and I would work in different places, and I would notice that every place I'd go, I meet like one or two black folks, and I go somewhere else and meet some more people, that kind of thing. And then I noticed, like, I know all of these people, but they don't know each other, right? And so I just started to organize little happy hours, little dinners, and it'd be 6 or 7 people, and then it just grew and grew, and eventually um I I do want to, well, I'll mention that later, but I kind of got inspired to really make it a bigger thing, and I went on meetup.com to see if there were any other black technology groups, and there were none, right? And the only thing that existed was something called New Me, which was around entrepreneurship and things like that. But even that meetup kind of went away after a while. So I said, let me just start a meetup group. And it just grew over time, and we progressively added programming and things like that. And the goal was really to just provide, build community initially. And I used to talk about, we kind of had the BET problem where we were trying to do everything. We were trying to do entrepreneurship. We trying to, technology, talk about, current event, not necessarily current events, but, just, you end up talking about things that's going on. And, but, over the years, we kind of, focus more on, technology and technologists. So the whole goal of the organization is to advocate for blacks in tech, to provide support and do anything and everything we can to help increase participation of blacks in tech. And so, and as you know, we have all kinds of different programming, which I'll highlight as we continue to talk. But yeah, it's all about just finding a way to help us take advantage of all the opportunities presented by technology.
Yes, sir. I'm glad that you came up here and told us that too. Is that there were really none that were talking, no black, like black centric or black owned meetup groups that were talking about technology. I'm glad
Mm-hmm.
that you guys niched down and focused on helping to uplift the black community and get us more people into technology. Now, I've
Right.
been going there for 2 years, and I have met a lot of great people. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw that on the Meetup app, it says that you guys have over 3,000 people who have signed up and actually follow Technologies of Color, right? The
Yeah.
Meetup group.
Yeah, and like I said, over the years, it just continued to grow, and it was interesting because for a couple of years, maybe 2 or 3 years, we were we sat around 500 or so, and 500, 700, and then one year it just kind of exploded, and then we were at like 2,000. And so, just over time, we've grown, and it's so fascinating. Meetup is so powerful. I've tried over the years to sort of take kind of move away from Meetup as a base, and even as we have sort of done that, Meetup remains a great way for people to find us. And is one quick story. We were at a I was at a we were at a happy hour. No, one of our Coding While Blacks, and a guy showed up, and he was from Paris, and he was visiting the States on just his vacation, and he looked around, looking for a way to connect with some folks, and he looked on Meetup, and he found us and came to the Meetup. And so this guy was on vacation from Paris, a black guy from Paris, interested in technology, found us in Atlanta. So Meetup is, that kind of blew my mind, but it was awesome. You know what I mean? It represented um, what we are trying to do, right? We provide this community and make it available for anybody that needs to plug in and get what they're looking for, and find some folks that they relate to. And again, especially as it relates to blacks in technology, and that was it. So, so yeah, meetup is powerful, as much as I'm trying to get away from it, but it's yeah.
Oh, so why are you trying to get away from it exactly? Like,
Um, because everybody's not on Meetup, first of all, and secondly, it's sort of limited in what it allows you to do. Especially now, I've been feeling this way for a long time, but now it's all about owning your own data, right? And Meetup, the regular site, Meetup.com, doesn't even allow you to get email addresses. I couldn't even get the email addresses of the 2,000 people that were part of our group, right? I could only message them through Meetup. And they've since come out with something called Meetup Pro that we subscribe to, that allowed me to get the emails, and now use those. I have email base in our Mailchimp, in our email newsletter and things like that. But yeah, it's just kind of limited into as what you can do, and it kind of tries to tie you to that system, and we wanted to kind of be able to go and be where we want to be.
right. So let's talk about that for a little bit. Talk about
Mm-hmm.
email marketing
Mm-hmm.
and marketing to get more people into Technologies of Color, or
Mm-hmm.
to tell the already existing base about the events that are coming up. So
Mm-hmm.
how well, not only how important is it, but also what tools do you use that are able to accomplish this goal of getting the message out?
Yeah, well, we use Mailchimp, which they've since expanded to give you way more than just email. And they're marketing. They're almost like full marketing tool. But um, we we have a newsletter, and the thing about email is very much underestimated in its effectiveness, and in fact, it probably, I think, remains the most effective tool for connecting with people in terms of like getting responsive to people and really getting them to connect. Because if you think about it, as much as, and some of these things may be changing now because we're getting so ingrained into the social media platforms, but email is almost kind of personal. And everybody has one. Like, I don't have TikTok, but I got many email addresses, right? And I check my email. So companies like MailChimp and Constant Contact and some of these other companies that sort of focus on email, they're billion-dollar companies for a reason. It's because email marketing is still and remains very powerful and very effective. And like I said, many times it's the most effective way to connect with people and get the message out and you know uh, have people connect with your brand. So we do have a now monthly, is it bi-monthly or bi-weekly? Twice a month, we have a newsletter that goes out to give technology information about tech stuff. And generally that can be a benefit to people. And again, we're all about helping folks grow and find new and better opportunities and things like that. So typically it's things that can help you, things of real value. And so, yeah, we definitely make use of it. And I have to many times push, my team to recognize the value of email. People, especially as you have younger members, they think, oh, it should be, we need to go on TikTok, or we need to have a Discord, or all these other things. I'm like, don't underestimate email. Email is powerful.
Yeah. I got plenty of emails from my Netflix subscriptions. But with
Right.
with that, let's go back to something else that you were talking about how
Mm-hmm.
you started getting into technology.
Mm-hmm.
So a little bit more about you. You said that you started off as a contractor, and
Mm-hmm.
um and I did the same thing. I actually just went on full time. But
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you, is that like the easiest way of getting into the industry is going the contractor route?
You know, um, it's really an interesting topic, because I so nowadays people get into tech in all different kind of ways, right? When I started, I went to school. I started, you know, I got a computer engineering degree. I started out in, computers in elementary school, really. And, I was always in technology, right? And when I graduated, I got a job as a programmer, and I was just always in it. So people come in it in different ways. I started out as an FTE, full time employee, and I essentially did that for the first like 7 or 8 years of my career, maybe 9. And I don't like corporate. Basically, in a nutshell, I struggle with the corporate environment. And for, we talked about some of this, a little earlier, there are a number of reasons why I don't like it. And so I'll tell you a quick story. So I was in a job, I was a permanent, an FTE, and I was, I was working, and where I was, a new guy came, and he was he worked with, I think, AT&T or Verizon. Well, I think it was AT&T he worked with. And he said that he was a contractor for AT&T, and he said he worked as a contractor for several years. And he said he said he made we were having a conversation about, salaries or something, I guess, and he said he made 75. And I thought, and again, by the way, this is in the early 2000s, or 2004, 2005 maybe. And he said 75, and I thought he meant 75,000, and he meant 75 an hour. And I was like, wait, 75 an hour, that computes to almost like $140,000, right? Somewhere in that area. So I was like, wait a minute, and because this guy was my peer, he wasn't like at a higher level than me. He was the same as me. And I'm like, you're the same as me. You're not better than me, anything like that. But you made $75 an hour. So that really that got to me, So I think that's when I started investigating the whole contracting thing. And not too long, maybe a year or so later, I kind of jumped into it, and I jumped into it. I had like I kind of eased into it. I went to a consulting company that contracted me out, right? And then, really 7 months into that, I left that and went full contractor, and I did that for like 14 years.
Mm.
So, and now I'm like you, I just got a new job and now I'm FTE again. So we can talk about that later.
Yeah. So, and then also somebody asked a question about where are you from, Marcellus?
I'm from Decatur, where it
Oh.
is greater, and it's not Atlanta apparently.
Right. Yeah, like Alvaretta said, right?
Yeah, I'm,
Yeah.
I'm from Atlanta. I'm from Atlanta. I'm not Grady baby. I'm a Georgia Baptist baby, which is also in Atlanta. So I'm legit. I grew up in Gresham, so
Right. Over there on the east
Mark
side.
Terrell. Yeah, yeah. I'm legit. So yeah, I'm from Atlanta.
Right. Okay. There's a lot of people from the east side, or from from Decatur and Lithonia, right?
Yep, yep.
So
That's where I grew up. That side of town.
yeah. So with that, I'm glad that you brought that up too. Is that I'm glad that you have your base primarily in Atlanta, which a lot of people say is like it's a tech hub, and then it's like and then some people say it's like the Black Mecca or something like that. But
Hmm.
it's a lot of Black people who live in Atlanta. Do you
Hmm.
find that okay, so getting more Black people into tech, do you find that to be difficult? Or do you find it to be like, okay, it's already a tech hub, already a lot of Black people. Do you find it that you have to actually pull teeth to get more people into the tech industry?
Yeah, man, that is a great, that's a whole topic in and of itself. It's very difficult. You know, I always say, our priorities in our community aren't all where they should be. And especially with our state in this country and really in this world, um, we, we focus a lot on anything that has some entertainment value, and if you don't have that, it's very hard to get our attention. And so, yeah, it's very difficult to get in. It's so, and it's interesting. Is I pride myself on really trying to focus on true value. And so, and I always tell people, I don't want to even do this, or I'm in it to help people and help our people, but I don't want to do it if people aren't finding true value. So if I can't really help you get get real value, something that's going to really help you in your life and move you forward, then I don't want to do it. And so um it's one thing to get people to pay attention, it's another to get them to actually do something. And so it both one is progressively harder. Like I can do some things to get people excited and get people looking, and even maybe even come to an event, but to get them to then move and do something during or after that is really difficult. Yeah. So that's that's something we struggle with all the time, and especially now because the pandemic changed so many things. And so one of our biggest struggles during the pandemic was like how to get people, we went virtual, and we had a ton of virtual events, but getting people to come progressively was difficult, because everybody's watching verses, so they weren't watching us.
Yep. Yep, that's
But no,
true.
seriously, I mean, it's so many there's so many distractions. There's so many other things um to lend your time to, and things that make you feel good, or that are entertaining, right? And who doesn't like entertainment, right? I like to be entertained too, but we have a lot of work to do. And so it's really, getting people to actually buckle down and do things that's going to move us forward, can be a challenge for sure.
I understand. And when I've gone to all the meetup groups, I've seen people who were not in technology, especially when we first started, before the pandemic and everything. There's just people from
Mm-hmm.
all over the place, right? They, just like as an example, you said the guy from Paris. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if he was in tech or not, but he was just trying to
He was.
find more. Oh, he was, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So he was just trying to find more people like him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, do you also, the after pandemic, right? Well, not after, well, during the pandemic. Now, do you see that we have more people, more or less people who are in tech joining onto these meetup groups?
Um, so maybe not meetup groups. I haven't necessarily seen an uptick in people joining that. But I have seen, there's so many avenues there now. Uh, one way people, a way that people get plugged into tech these days, Black Tech Twitter has become a huge thing, and there's just all kinds of sites and blogs and things like that where people can get information and get plugged in. So it's not so much an uptick on Meetup, but it does feel like more people are tuning in to tech because a big reason is because technology is really it's always been a big part of our society, but you know if you notice the last couple of years it's become almost intertwined where you can tech is it was always all around you, now it's really literally all around you, right? We got the metaverse where people actually kind of in a sense going into the technology, right? So it's so ingrained. You got cryptocurrency and things like that people's money now is tied to technology. So it's really difficult for people not to get to start to pay more attention. So we're seeing it in that regard. But again, the more it's when it comes to producing technology, we're still that's what people try, that's what we fall off, right? We can get it on our phones and buy and watch and all these kinds of things, but when it comes to producing, we still don't do it at the level that we should.
Mm. I agree. I can completely agree with you on that.
Mm-hmm.
We got Mr. Awesome in the building. He says YouTube heard y'all, and now there's a Bill Chip ad under this video. That's hilarious. They were listening, man. They were listening.
They
Uh,
listening.
yes, they always listen. The microphone is always on. With that being said, um, how because I know that you like. Can you tell me a little bit more about exactly what you do? Because I wanted to ask you a question related to your position like
Mm-hmm.
in technology now.
Yeah.
Because you said you just started a new job and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm a software dev. I do so I'm doing full stack development on it. So the stack is basically React and jQuery on top of Python and Django. And so I'm doing way more back end than I want to do, but it but I am a full stack, and it's fun. That whole term is still kind of makes me chuckle a little bit because once upon a time, I've been doing web applications for 20 years, and once upon a time you were only full stack, right? Like we did it all. So I've been doing HTML since the 90s and CSS and all that stuff and even JavaScript. And so, but I prefer the front end at this point, but they, you know, if you can do it, they're gonna ask you to do it, right? So I'm spending a lot of time and learning a lot about Python. Before, let's say I started this job in August of last year. I'm with BlackRock, by the way.
Oh, okay.
I,
Yeah,
I
one of your
started,
sponsors.
yes, yes, sir. Um, I started in August and I probably touched Python for the first time in like May or June of last year. I had never looked at it, never touched it. So I had to learn it pretty quickly. And I actually, um, I felt like it was maybe divine intervention or something, because the prior to joining that job, I taught a class with this organization called Smash. So it was like teaching computer science to kids, to students, and I taught that class did Python with with for data science. So I had to learn Python for that. And then I got this job that wanted me to do Python. So I got a little practice before I started. But before, last summer I had never looked at Python, but I'm doing a lot of Python right now. So and a little bit of React. So
Okay, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, expanding your knowledge base,
Yeah, and I didn't
making
ask
sure
for that, by the way.
that.
I don't, I've been in it for a while. Like I don't really want to learn too much more at this point, to be honest with you.
do you
Not
find,
another platform. Go ahead.
but do you find that that people who have lots of years of experience get to that point where they're kind of complacent? They're like, oh, I don't feel like learning nothing new.
And it's not even complacency, man. You do get tired. This industry, every 3 months there's something new that we're changing the way we do it because this is better now. We don't do that anymore. That's so last year. We don't do that. It's kind of the industry just we just turn over things too quickly. And as again, being in it for so long, after a while you see all the stuff, it's the same stuff just recycled, really. Some of the technologies we're doing now, we were doing, in early 2000s. They just had another name and they were just ahead of their time. The infrastructure and society wasn't ready to take advantage of it yet. So every time we come out with a new language, especially if you look at several different languages, you see a lot of the different, the similarities, and most of them, they're alike, and they use the same concepts and principles and things like that. And so learning a new one, it's like, okay, now I got to learn all the caveats or whatever of this language. So the benefit is, once you do understand that, once you are at that level, you can quickly pick up something. The same thing I did with Python, I did with React. I have worked with Angular JS for a while, and the job that I was, or the project that I was going to get put on was all React. I had never touched React, so I did a little Pluralsight real quick to kind of catch up to React. And next thing I know, I'm knee deep in React. So, but you see that they're all the same. And so, on one hand, it's a good thing that you can quickly pick up something. The bad thing is, like, okay, now I got to spend another 2 months learning something, kind of learning. Like with Python, it was, okay, we don't have brackets and braces and whatnot. We just, it's all indentation. So I got to kind of get used to this. I got to learn, PyCharm and the way they do things. That's the stuff that kind of is kind of annoying. Like, I got to learn all the new different ways of doing the same thing, right? So it's all good. It pays the bills, right?
Yes, sir. And one last question for you is, I want to talk about your sponsorships as well, because we kind of touched on, the fact that you work with BlackRock, and then BlackRock is one of your sponsors. Can you
Mm-hmm.
kind of tell us, like, how did you actually get the sponsorships that you do have, and how have they helped to grow technologies of color?
Yeah, that's good. Or I'm glad you asked that. That's what I was supposed to say. I'm glad you asked that question. Um, so I was talking about TLC and how we grew over time, and at some point, we were just doing happy hours, every month. Then we started doing meetups, and we started getting companies that wanted to, mostly recruiting firms that wanted to come to our events and recruit folks, and so they would give us, like, they would pay for the food at the happy hour. It was like $500 or so. And I don't know how I got to this. I think I was through someone. I learned that there are other organizations like ours that gets bigger sums of money for sponsorships, right? So I was like, yeah, let me test out the waters here. And I got well, long story short, I created a sponsorship program that, and I sort of created programs with the organization with which we do all our stuff. And we have and then I have sponsors to sponsor a program, right? So if initially, we'd have a sponsor that was sponsoring a happy hour, and they would be a happy hour sponsor, and we'd say, yeah, we'll list you as a sponsor. We'll, shout you out in our emails in every event. You might get to come, you'll get to come speak at an event, that kind of thing. And so there are certain sort of benefits that they get for being a sponsor. Um, and um and so that's just kind of how we do it. So like with Coding While Black, there's some benefits to companies being a part of that. And then the main thing is that what, and I was telling our team this the other day, we represent something that there's not really many other organizations that are doing it. And we're a community of Black folks in tech, right? There's not many other communities like it and doing the things we do. And so when companies um, are looking to connect with Black technologists, which is kind of in vogue now, right? That's the thing, right? We're looking for, we're trying to diversify and find, find more minorities and things like that. But that's what, we represent a pool of people that can potentially, be employees and help, diversify their workplace. And so a company like BlackRock came to Atlanta. And the main reason, one of the big reasons they came to Atlanta was because they're traditionally, they're New York financial firm, as as it's all like, if you look in the dictionary for financial firms, BlackRock is the, New York financial firms is BlackRock is in the dictionary, right? Like, so they wanted to change that. They wanted to kind of get away from being just this New York centric, this whole thing. So they moved to the South, and then they moved to Atlanta for diversity, right? And they came in a big way. And this office here, they've done some fantastic things. They've been true to their word. I knew they were very intentional on it, but then once getting in, actually being hired there and being in the office, it's like, wow, like I see Black faces all over the place. So they put their money where their mouth is. It's pretty impressive. So, but they came to the city and they immediately reached out to community organizations, and we were one of them. And they laid some money on us real fast, and it was like, whoa, that's pretty impressive. That's good stuff. And so, so yeah, that's basically what we do. We give companies an ability to connect with the community, whereas they don't do that so well. It's obvious their workplace represent, the results, bear out in their workplaces, right? There's not a lot of us there, so they have trouble connecting with our community, and we help them with that. And so and now, mind you, and this is something we can put a pin in and maybe talk about later. um as a nonprofit, we're not supposed to provide them any direct benefit anyway. It's not supposed to be, they're not supposed to be paying us to do anything. It's supposed to be a charitable donation, but that's not how the game is played. That's not, ultimately they kind of want something out of it, which is cool in some sense, but it's a fine line you walk there. But anyway, um, yeah, that's how we do our sponsorships. And in this day and time, we have a lot of tech companies coming to Atlanta, and they're coming to Atlanta for diversity. And we represent a community of people that can help them with that. And as simple as that.
Yes, sir. Also, let me give the salute and the applause to Sir Hill Speak Network. Thank you so much for your $10 super chat. It says, salute BTB. This is excellence on display. Thank you so much for that. I really do appreciate it.
Awesome.
Right. And also, Marcellus, they call me BTB, short for before the billion. Some people say
Uh-huh.
B2B for some reason. Right.
Business to business.
Right. Yeah. So, but yeah, I really do appreciate that. But I have linked Technologies of Color, their website, in not only the description but also in the chat as well. And I also have my number one moderator, and she also put the link to the Technologies of Color website into the chat as well. So, Marcellus, how can people support Technologies of Color So through either through donations or whatever other kind of means.
Yeah, donations are great. You can contribute on our website, texacolor.org. And but like I said earlier, I'm really we get good support from sponsors, and we'll continue to get support from sponsors. What we need is participation. We need people to come out, connect, whether you're a professional and you want to, give and mentor and help people, or, provide information and knowledge or whatever, or if you're, trying to get into tech or you're trying to grow in tech, be a part of the community. That's what it's all about. That's where we have power and strength. That's what attracts the companies to our community, right? They're looking for folks that can do the work, and we got to show them that we can do the work. So what, like I said, if you're a professional and you super high, and you VP of technology somewhere, we need you too, right? We need to show these people, we need to show everybody that we can build technology, we can create technology, we can do the work. We just, you just gotta give us the opportunities, and they're, largely giving us opportunities that, we still get filtered out some. There's still biases and all those types of things, but when you're bringing value, these days it's really hard to deny, because it's such a great need for technology professionals, that it's just hard to be denied. And you get to a point where, when you build up your skills, and you have the skills, you almost naming your price, quite honestly, especially if you're in certain areas. So the best thing you can do is come out, connect, and be a part of the community.
Yes, sir. Really do appreciate you for shedding light on that as well. Before we move on, is that so can you tell me about some things that you want to do into the future with Technology Color? Like, what are some events that you want to do, or anything else that you want to change about Technology Color into the future?
Yeah, that's a good question. Like I mentioned, the pandemic really changed things. Just the whole landscape of our whole society. Everything's a little different now. I always call it the blip year, because it reminds me so much of you know, the Avengers
Infinity
and
War.
that whole thing.
Yeah.
Like everything changed. So we're having to figure out how to adjust and again provide the value that our community needs, right? Um, there one thing I have come to realize, we created a couple of programs, including Coding While Black and our foundations program, to help with we created foundations to help with what we call the knowledge gap. And it's, if you learn to code online, you do a boot camp, things like that, you can learn some skills, but then you go to the interview, and there's still things you're missing, and you don't quite, there are a lot of things that you don't even know that you don't know, right? And so, like algorithms and data structures and things like that, they're going to ask you about, and agile software, the methodology, and all these things that when you don't know it, and they can tell in the interview, right? So it's really difficult to kind of get over that hump. So we focused on that. But what I've come to realize is that there's also a skills gap, right? Or yeah, there's a skills gap, and I'm sorry, an experience gap. And so what I always, the goalposts always seem to move for us, right? It's always something else we don't have, right? So what they start saying is, now they don't want, they need someone with experience pushing code to production. That's the new way they say it, right? That they want you to have, when you could look in job recs, and it'll say something about having experience with production code. And so that means you didn't just do a boot camp and do some projects on your own. You've actually worked in an environment where you've pushed to production and a production product, right? So they kind of move that goalpost. And so, all that to say, one of the things I want to create is a program that gives people real world experience in real development environments, with all of the trappings of a real development shop, right? So working with a full team, working with a scrum master, working with the business analysts and QA, and that whole dynamic that I told someone the other day, the whole of Friday was our end of sprint ceremonies, right? I barely touched any code, right? There are days when you don't do anything, in the way of coding. It's all of the meetings and all of the other things you have to kind of do when you're in the development shop, right? And so there's always things that you won't know, and the more you know and understand about those things, the better you can, impress them. You can the better you'll look in an interview, because they'll feel like, hey, I don't have to hold this person's hand. They know, they've done real world development. I can bring them in and they can figure some things out and they can start to contribute. And so there's that whole experience gap that, apprentice programs essentially is what help people get that kind of experience. But um, the deal is, even apprenticeship programs, they still have some of the same biases in the interviews and things like that. So if we can help people get that experience and go into any interview anywhere and kind of be able to talk like they have real world experience, I think that'd be hugely valuable. So that's something we're looking to do going forward.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. So I don't think we have anybody who's calling in. So I do want to just say, hey, Marcellus, thank you so much for your
Yeah,
time. Really do appreciate that.
absolutely.
And if you don't mind, can you stay back? Um, just want to talk to you about a few things behind the scenes,
Okay.
and then I can go ahead and close out the show.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having me, man. It was fun. Fun conversation. It's always cool. Just like what we do with TLC, it's just always fun to just talk about our world. You know what I mean? Because you don't always get to do it. At the family reunion, not often having technology conversations. So that's the whole thing. So I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem at all. Thank you so much. All right, so let me go ahead and close it on out. All right, thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate all the people who are watching the live stream right now and who are watching the replay. I really do appreciate everybody who's in the BTB squad. And if you haven't done so already, please go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And also hit that bell notification icon if you want to be notified whenever I make new videos on YouTube. I really do appreciate everybody. Also, join into the Discord chat if you want to get any more networking, or if you want to meet with more people who are in the BTB squad. That is most definitely there and available for you. If you just want to talk to me, I am in the Discord as well, and I'm pretty active in that as well. So, all right, guys, we had another great interview. Right? So, oh, and before I finish, let me go ahead and say thank you so much. Let me give the salute and the applause to Mr. Austin. Oh, Mr. Austin wants me to ask him another question. He says, ask him about the cloning to do other work. Um, Before we switch off, Marcellus, do you mind answering that one right quick?
Cloning to do. Say that again. Cloning to do what?
So, Mr. Austin asked me to ask you about cloning to do other work. I think he made a comment before that. He says, I saw a post on the Technologies of Color website about cloning yourself to do multiple jobs. I don't know what he's referring to, but I wanted to see if you knew.
Yeah, ironically, there is a guy that used to be here in Atlanta. He's now out in Cali. He started a company called AFIT, or AFIT Byte, and that is what they do. They create, or give you the ability to create bots that basically replace you or do things for you, almost so you can replicate yourself and uh, do work, and I guess in multiple places. Be honest with you, I don't totally understand how that works, but I mean, I understand how bots work, but yeah, it's all getting really hairy right now. I have this saying where smart people can't stop being smart. like like we're doing things. You have to at some point ask yourself why. Like why do we need this? And the reason I say that is because we're cutting humans out of the equation, and that causes all kinds of issues, right? One, namely, people can't earn money and go buy the things that everybody's trying to sell to them. So it's a really strange thing. There obviously is value to all the things we do with technology and including that, but at some point we have to decide. We should as a society be able to say, okay, there's a line we don't want to cross, because it's cutting out humanity and humanity in every sense. Humans, living humans, their ability to work, and also just feeling and empathy and all those kinds of things that we see we're losing it in our society, right? So we got to find a way to say, hey, let's not cut out humanity. And so I don't know a lot about that specific technology, but and so some of it may be my ignorance, but I do know that we're starting to cross some lines that maybe, in my opinion, that we should kind of not cross.
All right, all right. So, thank you again, Marcellus. That
Mhm.
was the last question, I promise. All right. So, that with that being said, guys, um, thank you so much to all the people who super chatted as well. I really do appreciate that. Okay, I will see you all on the next video. Thank you guys so much. And also look forward to another interview coming up next week. I am planning to be interviewing John, who also works with Technologies of Color as well. So he is, I believe he's like one of the directors
He's
over.
yes. Business development is what he's doing now. Yep, and he works with our sponsors quite a bit.
Yes, perfect. So the director of business development. Okay. All right, guys. See you guys later.